The Talent Show, a Mr. and Mrs. Green Adventure by Keith Baker. Mr. Green turned up the water. He sang louder and louder and louder. No one could hear him sing in the shower, except for Mrs. Green. She loved listening to him. He sang all sorts of songs. Mrs. Green especially enjoyed opera. Every year, Mr. Green performed in the talent show. He had played the harmonica, the tuba, the bongos, and the triangle. But this year he would sing. He had been practicing in the shower every day. He was ready. The talent show was that afternoon. Mr. and Mrs. Green hurried to the show. They watched and waited. They enjoyed all the performers, especially the baton twirler, 3 batons at once, the ballet dancers, graceful as swans, and the storyteller, a little Shakespeare, a lot of Dr. Seuss. But their favorite performers of all were the magician and his assistant. Mr. and Mrs. Green wanted to try this trick at home. It would take a lot of practice. Finally, it was Mr. Green's turn. He walked onto the stage. He was not nervous, just excited. So was Mrs. Green. What song would he sing? Mr. Green stood still and tall. He waited for silence. He waited for inspiration. He waited to feel the music inside. Then he took a deep breath and began. But when he opened his mouth, nothing came out. Not a note or a noise, not a peep or a pip, not a squeak or a squawk. Mr. Green was soundless, songless, speechless. Mr. Green took another deep breath. He began once more. Again, nothing. Something was wrong, very wrong. Oh dear, thought Mrs. Green. She got an idea. She ran behind the stage. She turned on the hose. She sprayed water over the curtain. On the other side, the water fell on Mr. Green. Soon he was completely soaked. He felt wet. He felt comfortable. He felt at home. He felt like singing. Mr. Green sang loudly, with enthusiasm and energy. He sang softly, with feeling and emotion. And then he made up a song with a snappy beat. He was in the groove. When Mr. Green finished, he took a bow. The audience clapped wildly, even those who got wet. They shouted, "Bravo!" Bravo means hooray in Italian. Mr. Green bowed again. Then he hurried off to find Mrs. Green. "Thank you," said Mr. Green. "That water did the trick." "You are welcome," said Mrs. Green. "You always sing best when you're soaking wet." "I'll need your help again next year," he said. "Singing?" she asked. "No," said Mr. Green. "Dancing the tango on roller skates."